Welcome back, everybody, to the video rendition of the Festus Fantasy Football Forum. This is week 5, part 2 of this week's entertainment, I guess. We're going to be splitting up the episodes this week just to kind of see how it is, maybe have a couple different opinions, but just wanted to try this out for this week. And if you guys like it or not, be sure to let me know. So, the main thing for this episode will be the power rankings, but we're also going to be doing the updated trade block. We're going to get into that right now. So, starting off here, from the GOAT squad, we have Joe Burrow being added to the trade block. Now, this is in light of him sucking fucking dick in the start of the season, and he has Brock Purdy now for what anyone would be willing to give for Joe Burrow right now, considering, as you can see here, 31st ranked quarterback in fantasy football. That's insane, and that's awful. Maybe a low-end bench player, I would say, is what Tyler is looking for here, but I'm sure for the right price, maybe a package deal with someone else from his team. So if anyone is looking to make those type of moves and maybe bet on some potential, in the later weeks, be sure to contact Tyler there for Joe Burrow. Here we're going to be going over to Team Doyle, putting up 2 players on the block. But we're going to start with this guy, Mike Evans. Off to a great start of the year, top 10 wide receiver, and Colin Doyle's trying to capitalize on that. Can't blame him. I'm being told that he's in the market for a good running back. So obviously you got to give up somebody to get that. Mike Evans seems to be the guy. Now, Colin is also putting up Dameon Pierce on the trade block. He is feeling confident that he can get a really good running back for these 2 guys. Honestly, I think I would probably take this deal if I'm a couple teams. I mean, 2 very, very solid players to add depth for one guy, and then obviously for Colin to get that star running back that he is coveting. That is it for the updated trade block for this week, and I gave out what the teams wanted in returns. Let's stay busy in the trading space. If you have anyone that you want to add to the trade block, please contact me individually, so that way I can save it and I know exactly if you're being for real or not. Let's move on now to the power rankings. Alright, as mentioned, we are now starting the power rankings portion of this episode. Obviously, I'm fair every week. I know some people want to, maybe question that, but I promise you, I'm very fair. I've taken a lot of different things to rank these. They do kind of line up with ESPN, but it gives my 2 cents as well with the outlooks. So obviously, there's going to be some debates here, there's some hot takes, but just remember, I'm not hitting on anybody. With that being said, let's get into number 12, unfortunately, for what is now the 3rd week of the year, we have Chubb Checker. Listen, time to hit the panic button. 0-4 is not where you want to be. Devon Achane and Keenan Allen, obviously a great monster gets there. In the trade for Keenan Allen, that was great. Having to give up Swift sucks. But when you get Achane off the waiver wire, who I think is going to be a solid flex player or better for the rest of the year, you make up for that. And so those are great additions to the team. That's definitely keeping you in games. Just monster players. But it's just not clicking all at once, and you've mentioned this, in the chat multiple times, that it's every week there's someone that just does not show up, or multiple people that just do not show up, and that is what is hurting this team. Most points allowed in the league. That's not good. Okay, it's not a bad team whatsoever. It's just really, really unlucky. So I'm expecting some wins in the coming weeks. I do not think this will be the last place team this year. Moving forward, though, hopefully you get some better luck. Chubb Checker at number 12. Alright, moving on to number 11. Obviously, this manager has been taking a beating from me. I've been really harsh. Don't mean to be. I just have to be fair. I have to be honest. 2 girls, 1 cup, newly branded because Cooper Kupp is back. Thanks for making me have to change all this. Worst scoring team in the league. It's by over 20 points, so not a small margin at all. Only team in the league that has not broken 400 points scored. That's a clear problem. I just put up 70 points last week. I'm expecting better results in the coming weeks because of chasing Kupp. But after that, though, there's a lot of question marks in the team. Darren Waller is a fucking bust. I'm sorry, I feel bad. Maybe you can get rid of him, even if it's for someone low-end flex or bench player, but Darren Waller is just not performing. One note that I made here, this team is one bad injury away from just tanking to the last place again. With trading so many people away for Kupp and Chase, the depth of this team is so thin. I don't think this team can afford to lose a player to injury in the coming weeks, especially anything serious. And with bye weeks coming up, that also is raising some concerns for me. A fun fact, 2 Girls 1 Cup has a lower percent chance to make the playoffs, worse chance than Mez, and they're in the same division. So if that has anything to say about where this team is at right now and where this team is going in the future, I'm very concerned about. I'm gonna leave this one here, 2 Girls 1 Cup coming in at number 11. Alright, moving on to number 10. I don't hate this team by any means, but we have the McAfrican Americans, AJ's team here, the lowest 2-2 team, the lowest percent chance to make the playoffs for a 2-2 team. RB2 and the Flexes are not at all up to par as opposed to the other league members. Christian McCaffrey is insane. He carries this team, and what did I think I said this in the preseason rankings, and I think I've said it every single week probably, but this team is going to live and die by Christian McCaffrey. Luckily for him, he's carried him to a 2-2 record. Mahomes, obviously he's going to help out a lot, but after that, there's not really much on this team. The bottom middle, kind of section for points forward. So it's not the worst scoring team in the league. It can put up points, but it's the 3rd most points allowed. So obviously, whenever somebody comes to play, they end up pretty much is doing good. And like Mez, that's pretty bad luck. The scoring is an issue, and I think it will continue to be an issue with the weeks moving forward. The McAfrican American's going to be at number 10. Number 9, we have the GOAT Squad, a fall from grace, and this sucks because a couple weeks ago, this was the number 1 team in the league, all around just performing. Since then, having to deal with a couple injuries, especially now to Javonte Williams, losing that running back spot, and now we're going to have to fill it with a backup. As I kind of mentioned early on, if this was a fraudulent team, the 2nd lowest points for, and since saying that, this team has dropped 2 games, and that is concerning. Travis Kelce's going to do Travis Kelce things. He's going to be totally fine. Obviously, he's looking to move on from Joe Burrow, going to start pretty for the rest of the year. The running backs just do not look to be in a good spot, and as long as Olabi and Waddle kind of get back to normal, then I think this team will be fine. One of the best wide receiver cores when everything is clicking. It just hasn't really clicked in the past couple weeks. Still a 51% chance to make the playoffs. That's totally fine. To comment on his team, the struggles that he's kind of faced the past couple of weeks. Here's a video that the GOAT Squad's manager sent in. Roll the clip.
How will I respond? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to set some lineups. We're going to get the right matchups. We're going to line up. We're going to compete. That's all you can ask for. Had a rough couple weeks, yeah. And that's going to happen, but now we're due. So, it's time to get it rolling, baby. Let's go. Week 5.
Okay, moving on to number 8. I would say, 8 through 5, these teams are pretty much neck and neck. In terms of outlook, the last couple of spots in the playoff seeding, they could be any of these, next 4 teams, I think. Number 8, the newly branded Aaron Rodgers Achilles, formerly Bijan Mustardson. Judson's team, listen, an all-around well-built starting lineup. I've said this, every week that this is one of the best overall starting lineups in the league. Last week it clicked, and that was good to see, finally. It's scary to know that once this team is clicking, it's going to be pretty hard to beat. He has to just keep doing that consistently. A couple concerns still for the outlook, kind of metric here. There's 0 running back depth. If Bijan or Miles go down, there's no one to fill that hole. So that is pretty concerning. And the mid-tier wide receiver depth, I'm not saying that it's bad wide receivers besides, DJ and Garrett, but, not bad wide receivers to fill spots if needed by any means. Obviously, Mark Andrews and Josh Allen. How could you not love those guys? Finally putting up some really dominant weeks. A 61% chance to make the playoffs. I think this team can rally off a couple wins in a row and really move up to the top 6 spots. For right now, I'm putting the Achilles team at 8. Okay, moving on to number 7. We have, for the 2nd straight week in a row, the Guardians of Your Mom's House staying at 7. Another win this week. getting him back to 500. You know, one of the best wide receiver rooms in the league from star talent to depth. The running back room is a concern. It's obviously a concern of Ramondre Stevenson. The Patriots offense just sucks and you cannot rely on that. James Conner he's good, but he's on the Cardinals. You know, not the best running backs by any means. Obviously trying to maybe trade one of those receivers for a good tier running back, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Hello, Breece Hall. Currently, the highest percent chance to make the playoffs in his own division. Fun fact on this team, exactly 440 points for and exactly 440 points against. A basically 0-point differential, which is pretty funny through 4 weeks. Kind of in the middle in each of those metrics. Not a dominant team by any means, but he is consistently competing, and that's what you like to see. The Guardians of Your Mom's House coming in at number 7 for the second straight week. At number 6, we have Team Doyle coming in here. Maybe a controversial take, you know, for being the second highest scoring team in the league, and the second highest points allowed team in the league, constantly getting in shootouts. And you know what? I like to see this. I like to see a team that is scoring a bunch, but giving up a bunch. That means that each win, I think, is earned. The big story with Team Doyle is the Cooper Kupp trade earlier on in the season with Chris. You know, obviously Cooper Kupp goes down and you have a lot of question marks. But what you do is you go bring in A.J. Brown and these other guys now really helping and benefiting your team. Since then, your team has depth. It's very well balanced. I believe there's some good depth on this team. Problem with that then lies nailing the flex players could continue to be a, you know, problem. It could be volatile, not really having those guys in there that you know are going to perform. I think Team Doyle here at 6 is good for now. I think definitely one of the best overall teams. You know, moving forward, we'll see how this team performs. So, Team Doyle, number 6. Forgot to mention that Collinson did the video, so here it is.
Sorry, Brock. It needed to be done. 2-2 now. Still looking for a deal for Mike Evans, so if you got something nice, send it my way. Got the Marine on deck. No mercy, not even for the troops. And looking forward for a big jump in the power rankings. I'm sure most of us will still be behind Jackson somehow, but we'll see. Looking forward to it.
So, coming in at number 5, I have running backs coming in here. In the DMs, it seems that Dom is crumbling. It seems like he is just not having a good time. He is not happy with his team after the last couple of weeks. Starting off 2-0, falling to 2-2. Obviously a couple steps back from the top of the power rankings in previous weeks. So close to that number 1 spot, but just could not reach it. The running backs are still carrying, and that is a good sign. Kamara coming back, he looked great. Aaron Jones came back, he looked like shit. Austin Eckler comes back in a couple weeks. I'm sure he's going to be pretty good, on top of having Pollard and Kyren Williams. So the running backs are clearly going to be carrying this team. My question, though, moving forward is who are you going to start? Are you going to go off a matchup? Are you going to go off just your workhorse players, which I would assume would be Kamara, Eckler, Kyren, and Pollard? You know, obviously bye weeks are going to help you out with making those decisions. Really concerned about the wide receivers. Obviously, you want someone better in there, especially when it comes to depth. If you don't want wide receivers, if you just want your running backs, then hey, if it works, it works. Really just been volatile running back play, which I said would happen. You know, I said that. I said it, and you know, of course I was right. You know, running backs are just so volatile, and, you know, you're going to live and die based on their performance. Still a 61% chance to make the playoff, same as Collins, so you could really flip-flop 5 and 6 here with Team Doyle and running backs. You know, obviously the running backs are going to carry this team moving forward, so I have running backs coming in at number 5. Coming in at number 4, fresh off of the Jamar Chase trade, we have Team Marmonti. You know, getting rid of Chase is a tough thing to do, but Team Marmonti did it, and he got a haul in return. And I am excited to see how they all perform for this team moving into the later weeks of the season. Obviously, Saquon Barkley is going to be coming back. If not this week, definitely next week. I think this team is going to benefit hugely from Saquon Barkley. Something that isn't really talked about much with this team is it has good depth. It has actually really good depth. Great, I wouldn't say great, decent wide receivers. You know, if we're being honest, not the best in the league by any means. All around, I think it is a well-balanced team, and it's 3-1, but not really because of points forward. This team is benefiting off of the lowest amount of points allowed in the league. So it's another one of those question marks, those red alerts, if you will, those sirens going off for maybe a fraudulent team. 3-1 is a very good record, but lowest amount of points allowed is concerning. Regardless, though, I have Team Armani coming in at number 4. Coming in here at number 3, we have Team DD. Surprise of the year, I think. Coming out of the draft, I did not expect this team to do as well as they are, and it's just all around showing out to be a very well-built team. The scoring is reflective of that. 3rd highest scoring team in the league. All around, like I said, very well-built, especially the wide receiver core. That's only for the starters. Justin Jefferson and Devonta Smith, a great 1-2 combo, but after that, there's really nobody. Drake London is super hot and cold, night and day. This has been the problem for Team DD in these weeks. Obviously, 2-2, so you're winning some, you're losing some, but it's been the flex play that is killing this team. Flex players, obviously not the most important. Team DD is just missing the mark, what seems to be every week, and those running back spots as well. I mean, if we're being honest, there's no really good running back help off the bench. Justin Jefferson is carrying this team. This is a prove-it week for sure for Team DD. Staying at number 3 for Austin. We'll definitely circle back to this team moving forward. Alrighty, finally, number 2, a drop from the first spot of last week. I have the Little Giants here, and I just want to put this out there right now. It is not because of the loss to Colin last week. I think Little Giants at number 2 is completely, reasonable. Currently the highest percent chance to make the playoffs of any team in the league, which is a great sign, and you have JT coming back. Your obvious goal was to just go even, maybe only win 1 game in the absence of Jonathan Taylor. Look, you ended up going 3-1, and now you're going to benefit from a pissed off JT in the spot of RB1 where Jahmyr Gibbs was supposed to be good, but he's just not really, showing out. What better time for JT to come back? It's going to help out a previously questionable running back room. I don't like Fields personally. I know he had a good week, fucking finally. I'm still not sold on him, so maybe the quarterback position could use some upgrading. But when you have Tyreek Hill, you can probably get away with mid-tier quarterback like Justin Fields is kind of shaken out to be, unless he just goes nuclear like he did last year. The Little Giants are in the upper middle section, so not in the top tier, but like upper middle of points for. And also points allowed. Obviously a tough loss last week. Tough loss. I think this is a good spot, especially with JT coming back. I think this is going to be a clear playoff team. This is going to be, competing weeks 15, 16, maybe just 17. So we will see about that though. So Little Giants number 2. And finally, this is a monumental moment for the Festus Fantasy Football League. Ascended from last year being the worst team, ladies and gentlemen, Lamar's backpack, the number 1 team in the league, and very well earned, very deserving of this spot. Coming out of the draft, there was some concerns at the running back position, but those concerns are gone. The Lions love David Montgomery, and Pacheco just runs really angry. Even if Mostert isn't going to be like the main guy moving forward, it's okay, he's a good spot starter and a flex player if needed. For Jay Gill here, obviously tied for the highest record at 3-1. He has the most points scored in the league, and he's just a dominant point scorer. I think 2 weeks in a row, the highest points scored in the league, with the strongest wide receiver room in the league. Strong flex positions as well. If not the strongest flex positions, definitely top 3, I would say. The only concern is JU is second lowest in points allowed. We're going to have to monitor that. I still think this team is dominant. I still think this team is 100% going to make the playoffs. This will be a contender this year. I will say I think number 1 and 2 are both my 2 picks to contend for the championship this year as of now. With that being said, Lamar's backpack coming in at number 1. So that is going to do it for part 2, I guess, of week 5's power rankings. I hope you guys enjoyed. Obviously, this was different than previous weeks. I just felt that the power rankings portion was taking up too much time, and I didn't want to rush it. You know, I didn't want to rush through teams. I wanted to really break it down, and I think giving it its own video could be pretty good moving forward. So just let me know what you guys think. Keep sending videos if if you want to, please. I think that makes it awesome. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck to everyone in week 5.